Well, welcome back to another Coffee and a Chat. I've been kind of missing in action for a couple of days, but it's all good. The Lord just had something else I needed to do for a few days, and so to help somebody else out. So I've taken care of that, and today He's given me a video to share with you, and so today it's story time. And before we get into the story again, I just want to welcome, I know that there are some new viewers, and some of you have left some comments for me. Thank you for that. It is so encouraging for me to receive your comments and your feedback. So I really appreciate you guys, and some of you have been walking with me on this journey for a long time. And you just become very precious to me. You become family. And so I just want to tell you guys thank you. I also want to say to my husband, Marvin, who I know will be watching this, that I really appreciate you. And yeah, there's been some things you've done over the last few days that has just really blessed me because of your character and the man of God that you are. And I just feel very blessed to be your wife, and I know you're sitting there on the couch going, no. I just wanted to say that. And yes, I'm very thankful for what God has given me in a husband, and I'm telling you, I have learned in life the blessing and the difference in what it is to go look for somebody, for a partner, for a spouse, myself, or to just sit back and say, Lord, unless you bring him and set him in front of me and say, here, this one, I want you to marry him, that I would rather just be alone, me and Jesus. And it wasn't too long after I had said that to the Lord and made that commitment that he brought my Marvin to me. And he did set him down in front of me and said, here, this one, I want you to marry him. He's my gift to you. And he definitely is that. So I appreciate my husband, just have a little extra appreciation for him because of just things that he did over the last couple of days that has blessed me and blessed others. And so anyway, all right, mushy stuff out of the way. Let's get to our story, shall we? So this is going way back when I was married to my first husband, and my kids were young. Now, I want you to know that I usually have looked at myself in life and thought I am a very weak woman, that I'm easily pushed around and intimidated, and that I would do what other people, what other people wanted, even when I didn't want to do it, that everything, that I wasn't strong enough to stand up for myself. And now I know that when it comes to standing up for other people, I tend to be stronger than standing up for myself. There have been some people that I've stood up for, and it wasn't so difficult. But God keeps showing me times when I did stand up for myself, or I did do the right thing, even when it wasn't the popular thing. And that maybe I'm not as much of a wimp as what I think I am. I have been a wimp at times. Maybe we all have. But there's been times I've been strong. And so today's story is one where I think I did the right thing and I didn't wimp out. And I hadn't thought about this. I don't even know when I last thought about this. But some things, how things kind of happen in life, and it'll spark that memory of, oh yeah. Okay, I had one of those aha moments, and the Lord has brought this memory back to me several times since, because it really, it demonstrates an important principle that we need to abide by in our lives, or a truth. I don't know, is principle the right word, or truth, or whatever? And so he's told me to share this with you and why this is important. Okay, so I was probably, I'll bet you I was in my 20s. when this happened. And we were a part of an association of churches. And so this association of churches had different committees that made decisions and handled different aspects of the whole church situation and these churches working together. So I was asked by a man in our association. He was chairman of one of these committees. I don't even remember what the committee was, but he asked me if I would serve, that they had an opening, and, he would really be honored if I would serve on that committee and fill that opening. Now, you guys, this was a huge honor to be asked to serve on a committee. And especially this particular man to ask you to serve on his committee, it was very honoring to have that asked of me. So I was very excited, and I remember the first meeting that I went to, which also ended up being the last meeting that I went to. So Keith, my adopted brother, for those of you who are new, if you're watching, this is one of them times when I think I danced over the lines. But anyway, but it was all good. At least from my point of view, it was all good. So I go to the meeting, and there's all these, there were pastors and pastors' wives and other people that were in charge of other departments and stuff. There were important people sitting on this committee. And because I didn't know who all the committee members were till I got there. And I was like, oh my word, why am I here? Why would he ask me to serve on this committee? Because, I'm never as important as anybody else. That's just life, and that's okay. But I was like, why would he ask me to be here? So it was very puzzling to me. And so he, we were all present. And so he goes, okay, everybody's here. So let's get down to business, because I know nobody wants to stay late and we've got things to do. So first thing is I want to do, and then he told us, he wanted something that he wanted to do, on this committee, and it was something he personally wanted to do within the association of churches that would fall under this committee. And so he's like, I'm going to do blah, 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 blah. Now, let's take a vote. Those in favor say aye. And everybody said aye or raised their hand or whatever, except me, because I'm like, I'm feeling not comfortable with this, right? And everybody kind of looked over at me like, why aren't you saying aye? Why don't you have your hand up or whatever it was we were doing? And I'm just like sitting there like thinking, okay, wait, this is odd. I don't know what to do. And then the man looks at me and goes, those opposed? Well, I still didn't say anything. So then he's like, okay, Angie, I know that this is your first time on the committee and all, but you got to vote. And so why aren't you voting? And so I said, well, I'm sorry. I'm a little confused. You see, I've sat through enough Wednesday night Baptist business meetings to know this ain't how you do it. I didn't quite say it like that, but it was more of, I'm just a little confused. First off, what you're saying you want to do sounds like really good and all, but I'm really not clear on what that is or how that, will affect some other things. I had a couple of questions, and I guess, you just said what you were going to do, and then we're supposed to vote on it. And I just can't, I don't feel like I can, cast a vote without some clarification on a couple of things. And he's like, what do you need to be clarified on? What's your problem? And I could tell he was really irritated with me. And I wasn't sure why he was irritated. And I thought, well, I guess I'm doing it wrong. But, so I said, okay. So I asked my questions. And he sort of answered them. But he obviously didn't want to answer them. And so then we ended up taking the vote. And I think on that one, I was like, well, yeah, I guess I can vote yes on this. But then the next thing came up that he told us, okay, here's his next thing that he wanted us to pass. And that one, and again, I was like, I raised my hand just before he calls for a vote, and he goes, okay. So I asked my questions. And then I believe on that one, I didn't feel so good about it. Something wasn't right, and I didn't feel I could vote yes. So everybody voted yes, but I voted no. Well, some things he had to have a unanimous vote on. Some he didn't. So he could tolerate me voting a no, I guess. So we somehow got through the meeting. It took a little longer than it usually did. Everybody kind of seemed irritated with me that took a little longer. But I had been asked to serve on a committee. Therefore, there must have been enough faith that I, would do the right thing. And it wasn't, for this man, but it was for the Association of Churches, right? And there's, and each church was represented on this, so I was representing my church on this committee. And so I felt, for everybody involved, you need to do the right thing. And some of the things just did not seem right to me, especially there were a couple things where there might've been a little money involved that didn't quite add up to me as being the right thing. And I'm really funny about that. I'm a big time person when it comes to money. I've handled a lot of money. I'm good at handling money, but I feel it needs to be done right. And, and there are people that kind of sometimes pilfer funds. And I've been through that with people doing that and, and been in some awkward positions, but that kind of stuff rubs me the wrong way. So I do believe there were some financial things that I just was not okay with. So anyway, when finally the meeting's over, this gentleman who had asked me to serve on the committee, he asked me, he dismissed it and he said, but Angie, could you just give me about 5 minutes, or a minute or whatever? And so I'm like, yeah, sure, no problem. And so I waited. And so then he closed the door and he's like, I don't think you understand what you're supposed to do on this committee. And so I'm sure I started blushing. I blush really easily if I'm embarrassed or confused or scared or what. I mean, everything makes me, the blood will rise in my face and I'll turn red. And I could feel the heat on my face. So I was like going, okay, and usually people think it means I'm embarrassed. It doesn't necessarily. It can mean that I feel threatened or afraid. There's a lot of things that can bring that reaction out in me, but it's usually a highly emotional situation. And so I could feel the heat on my face, and I hated that. And, being fair-skinned and all, there's no way to hide it. And so I just was like, okay. And he said, you'll notice that I state what's going to be done. We take the vote. Everybody votes yes, unless I've told them that we shouldn't be doing this. If there's something that somebody else has brought to the committee that we're supposed to vote on, and I don't think it's a good idea, then everybody votes no. And I'm like, kind of trying to process what he's saying to me, thinking, am I hearing him right? Because surely I'm not. And so I finally said, well, it sounds to me like what you trying to tell me is that what I'm supposed to do on this committee is just vote the way you want me to vote, and that you make it clear whether I'm to vote yes or no in the way you tell me what the item is that we're voting on. And he's like, yeah. So what, do we have a problem here? And I was strong. I think the flush washed down or whatever, or it went to another shade. I don't know. But I was like, I do think we have a problem here. And so I said, I thought I was being asked to serve on this committee to represent my church, because we have a representative from each church, and the person who used to serve on this committee had moved, died, I don't know, I don't remember. They were no longer able to do it, and that you felt I was the best person out of our church to serve on this committee. I felt very honored to be asked to serve on this committee, and I felt that my responsibility was to understand what we were voting on and to make a wise decision. There were some things I thought, why are we voting on this? We need to pray about it first. Yeah, I think we have a problem, because I think that I have a responsibility here to do the right thing. I think we're supposed to be seeking God. And yet what I think I'm hearing from you is you want me to be what you're a yes man, that's what we're all supposed to be, that we say yes when you want us to say yes, we say no when you want us to say no. So we're all casting your vote. He was not ashamed of it. He was like, yeah, pretty much. He goes, I know what's best. I know, I've done the research. I know the direction. I know what I want to do. And I just need people that will support me in that so that I can do the things that I know are good for this association of churches. Yeah, I wasn't okay with that. And I remember feeling kind of proud of myself. And I had said, well, then I guess we do have a problem, because I can't do that. I can't just come here and be a puppet. I'd rather be home with my kids and my husband, or going to see a friend, or doing something, anything other than just sit here and be a puppet. I think I've got more to offer than that. I think that I do have enough intelligence that my opinion should matter. And so I did stand up for what I believed. And I said, so I know you're not going to want me on this committee anymore. And you're going to need to find a yes person to replace me. But I guess I should give you my resignation today. And he said, yes, I think that's what you should do. So I did. And I do remember, too, that my husband and my kids were there to pick me up at the end of the meeting. And so I went out. They were like, what was going on? Why did you stay? Is there a problem? And I'm like, yeah. And so and I don't remember how my husband felt about it or not, but I know I was shaking by the time I got to the car. And I didn't know how it was ever going to be anytime I would run into this man. Now, interestingly enough, this man it was fine whenever he saw me. There never seemed to be a problem. He didn't seem to have an issue with me. He didn't treat me any different, but he sure wasn't going to ask me to serve on any more committees. So why am I telling you guys this story today? Because I want you to know that you have value. Whoever you are, wherever you are, you have value. And you have an opinion, and your opinion matters. Whether it's right or whether it's wrong, it's your opinion and it matters. And you have a right to speak up for yourself. We live in a time where I feel like I see this more and more, where people just want us to agree with them. And as long as we just agree and play by their rules and do what they want, everything's fine. But the minute we stand up and say, but wait a minute, I have a different opinion, or I have a different thought on this, or I have different feelings, it becomes a problem. See, as long as we comply to what other people want us to comply to, it's good. I have a relative, a niece or a nephew, who has a very strong opinion about some things. And they told me a ways back that I either agree with their opinion and I abide by their feelings. And it's not like, about their own life, but in general, like, it's a very political thing. So I either agree with their politics. Let's say that. That's probably a better way to say it. I either agree with their politics, abide by their politics, live my life according to their politics, or they don't want anything to do with me. Now, I still love them. I still pray for them every day. I still would be here for them in a heartbeat if they needed me. But they don't want a relationship with me because I will not comply to their politics. I can't. I cannot have spiritual peace in complying with their politics. So I've had to take a stand with them. and be true to my own convictions and my own feelings about things with my relationship with God. And that's the big thing. That's the really big thing, is they really want God out of the picture. I can't do that. Not out of my picture. Jesus Christ is my greatest love. And I will not change that for anyone. I wouldn't even change that for Marvin. And he knows it. That was our first requirement from each other. And when we were looking for someone to get married, that was something that was top of both of our lists, was that person would love God more than anything else or anyone else. And then they would love us second to the Lord and not put someone else or something else ahead of us. And so those were the top two things on what we were looking for in a spouse. And those matched perfectly, almost word for word. And so those lists were made up before we ever knew the other one existed. So there are some things in life we cannot compromise on. And just because somebody tells you that you need to act a certain way, feel a certain way, you are your own person. And there's nothing wrong with that. See, even my niece or nephew who has these feelings, I'm not going to tell them, here's what you have to think, here's what you have to believe, here's what you have to feel. I accept them the way they are, even though I don't agree with it. Okay? I still accept them the way they are. And I accept that they have certain thoughts and feelings and beliefs politically in this world that I don't agree with. But it doesn't have anything to do with me loving them. And I'm not asking them to be anything different. I pray for them because I want them, because I don't believe they have the truth, and I want them to have the truth. But it doesn't make me feel any different about them. I don't demand that they be the way I want them to be. But they do demand that I be the way they want me to be. And we need to be strong. So even if you're like me and you think of yourself as a really weak person, you aren't. There's strength in you. You just maybe don't realize it. Maybe you haven't recognized it. Maybe you don't see it. But there is strength in you. And I want you to know that today. I want you to know that you are who God created you to be. That doesn't mean you got everything right. I know I ain't got everything right. But we're on a journey, I know I am, to get closer to the Lord. And the closer I get to Him, the more He's able to show me the things in my life that haven't been right, so that I can submit those things to Him, surrender them to Him, and in some cases cast those things off. Because I have allowed things to be in my life. I have allowed things to be in my belief system that were wrong. And so once I recognize it, I can confess that it's wrong and then repent, which means to go the other direction, stop doing it, and move forward in the things of God. And to the day that I take my last breath, that's what this journey will be, always striving to be closer to the Lord and casting off the things that I've allowed into my life that don't belong there. And so as the Lord walks me little by little through each thing, we deal with it, we move on. But I'm going to love everyone around me and respect that everybody around me has an opinion, and they have, convictions and thoughts and feelings and beliefs. And whether I agree with them or not isn't the point. I'm still going to love that person. I'm not necessarily going to agree with them, but I expect the same in return. So don't ask me to serve on a committee if I'm not going to be allowed to think for myself and cast the vote the way I want to. Don't invite me to be your friend, but then try to pressure me to be something else. Too many people are being treated like puppets. Too many people are being used to fill a space, to fill a need, with no honor or respect for who they are as a person. I can't always do something for somebody else. I can where I have power in that, but the person that I need to make sure of first, that I'm not allowing them to be a puppet, I'm not allowing them to be taken advantage of, is me. And for you, it's you. So today, I just want to encourage you in your value and give you permission, if that's what's necessary, that it's okay to not, you don't have to be disrespectful or mean. I'm not saying that, but it's okay to have your own opinion, to cast the vote the way you want to and not the way others are pressuring you. Okay? And if you're not sure if what you think or feel is right or wrong, go to the Word of God. Go to God Himself. He'll tell you. He'll let you know. All right. Well, with that, I am going to go finish my delicious cup of coffee that I have right here. And I'm going to go do some work. It will never end, will it? Oh, to have a day when I could just do nothing. And honestly, if I had a day where I could just do nothing, it would probably drive me nuts. I don't think I can sit still. So anyway, I love you guys. Thank you for your patience and allowing me to have, because the Lord needed to redirect me for a couple of days to take care of some other things for some other people. And that's been done. Now I'm back, and we'll see what He brings next, but I love you guys. I hope you're having the most amazing day today, no matter what's going on. Because even when everything seems like it's falling apart, we can still have an amazing day. God has taught me that. All right, so you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you later.